I was just chatting with your class president a minute ago, and he told me you've got 91 days to graduation, and I was thinking about where I and my classmates were 50 years ago, and I want to assure you that the next 50 years are going to go faster than the next 91 days. My classmates Mike Krause, Dick Jones, and Ron Klemick are here with me. The few points I wanted to make are, one, in 91 days, you're going to become graduates of the United States Naval Academy, and that is a lifelong credential. It's not like being a graduate of any other school. Even our very fine schools, Harvard, Yale, Stanford. Just last night, for example, I was at a dinner party in Colorado, and there were a dozen of us around the table, and the subject came up of where people lived, and I mentioned that I'd lived in the Washington, D.C. area for a number of years. And the query was why, and I just said, well, I went to school in that area, developed an affection for it, and we lived there for a while. And one of the guests who knew me said, yes, Jim is an Annapolis graduate. People just don't do that about other schools. And I think the unique characteristic is because we're known for something that is different than other schools. We're not known just for athletic accomplishment. We're not known just for academic accomplishment. We're known as a school that produces leaders. We're known for leadership. And leadership is a critical element throughout your life, and I think that brings to bear why being a graduate of the Naval Academy is this lifelong credential. One of the stories I remember from my early officer days, and as this kid mentioned, I was commissioned in the Supply Corps. Had a brief active duty tour for about 7 years, and one of the tours I had was as an aide to Admiral Lee Kimball out of the class of 33, who was commanding officer of the Naval Supply Center in San Diego and the supply officer for the 11th Naval District. As his aide, I got to accompany him to a flag conference, and we were addressed by then Vice Admiral Ignatius Gallatin, who was Chief of Naval Materiel and a descendant of our first Secretary of the Treasury at the time that the country achieved independence. And he made what I thought was almost a startling, if not shocking, statement to anybody that's in the military community. And he said, gentlemen, I'm here to tell you today that command is easy. It's leadership that is difficult. And then he elaborated. He said, I'm an admiral. If I say Corporate Niner, all the ships are going to turn. If I say all hands on deck, everybody's going to come on deck. But I cannot command Congress to give me money. I cannot command young people to join the service. That takes leadership. So I think the leadership ingredient that we achieve here in our educational environment at the Academy is what makes us really very singularly different than the other top schools in this country. And then when you view that leadership, the second point I was going to make is that this leadership element, it's something where you may do different things in your life. Candidly, not everybody in my class was a career naval officer. Not everybody in your class is going to be a career naval officer. We went on and did a lot of different things. We have doctors and dentists and priests and missionaries and sheriffs and Fortune 500 CEOs. And of course, we have admirals and naval captains and Army, Marine Corps, and Air Force colonels. We've also had a lot of our classmates that have gone to high office Assistant Secretaries of Defense, Assistant Secretary of the Army, Assistant Treasury Secretaries. We've had senior executives at the CIA and the Library of Congress. We continue to have people serving in various Pentagon commissions and advisory bodies. I'm honored to serve on one of those with the Secretary of the Navy myself, dealing with maritime strategy in the Western Pacific. All of this traces back to this issue of leadership, because all of these positions that my classmates filled and which you and your classmates will fill trace to this element of leadership that you learn here at the Academy that is very singularly different than you get at any other university in this country. And it's what you've learned and experienced here that causes you to have that leadership element. It's not just being a striper, which you can say, well, that's a leadership element within the brigade. It's the fact that you're in an environment and in a culture that cultivates, fosters, and teaches leadership, and if nothing else, you almost pick it up by osmosis. I was not a striper. I was actually a mustering petty officer for 2 weeks, and then I got busted for going over the wall, and they took that away from me too. So it's what you've learned and what you experienced here that allow you to bring that back to society, whether it's in uniform service or in other aspects of public service and even in the private sector. And the leadership that you learn here at the Academy is fundamentally that of integrity, and I characterize integrity as what you do when nobody's watching you. That's integrity. It's perseverance. You certainly learn perseverance here. You don't quit easy, and you don't refuse to take a task on just because it looks like it's tough. You'll persevere to get it done. And respect. You have respect for each other. You have respect for your juniors. You have respect for your seniors. You have respect for your nation, respect for your history. And those are three elements of leadership that, again, you just acquire almost by osmosis because you're living in that culture. And those are the things that you learned here. So, given that considerable, extraordinary element of education that you've acquired here at the Academy, what would I counsel you to do with it? I would counsel you, number one, to pay it forward. Support the Academy and the foundation after you've graduated and as you go forward in life. Because as you go forward in life, you will more and more reflect on the things you did learn here and how important it has been to you. One of my classmates says the Naval Academy had more influence on his life than anything except his parents. And I've always shared that sentiment. I think you're going to find that too. So paying it forward, support the Academy, support your foundation, support your class. The class is a unique bond. And you will find that also as you continue to go through life, that you're all interdependent upon each other and supportive of each other. Support your class as you're going forward. And look forward to your time when you're going to be a link in the chain class. We'll be long gone, but the paying it forward is for you to step up at the appropriate time so many years from now. Paying it forward is a link in the chain class, because that will see that those who come after us continue with this legacy of leadership, of integrity and perseverance and respect. And the lifelong credential of being an Academy graduate is therefore a continuing credential to the future classes, and it's a continuing contribution to both our nation and our society. So in 91 days, you're going to be graduates. You're proud of it. It's going to make a big difference in your life for the rest of your life. Thanks very much.
Jim, thank you very much. Words I think we can all live by no matter when we graduated. Now I know that this is a moment you've all been waiting for. Your class president, John.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Alumni Association, all the staff for hosting us here this evening, putting on this great event, and inviting us over here. You guys do such a great job, so thank you all. Secondly, I'd like to thank Mr. DeFrancia and the rest of the class of 1963. Thank you for your support, your guidance, and your example to our class over the last 3.5 years as we continue to make it 4 years. So thank you for that example, and I can honestly say there's no link in the chain stronger than 1963-2013, so thank you very much. All right.